didn't play their best. Wasn't convinced about the 8-point try. Thought Bentham was influenced by the reaction of the players.
Right.
Go on then.
Well, no, I do tend to agree, to be honest with you. It seemed that... I mean, I don't know if the letter of the law is being applied, and sometimes I'm a stickler for that, but it did seem like he was already kind of in momentum, and his body was leant back and he was on his knees pulling out in a sense. He didn't clatter in knee first as if he was coming down on the man. Do you see what I mean? So I felt it was harsh, but then I'm prepared to hold my hands up and say if the letter of the law was applied, then que sera, sera. And he had already dove out to score the try. It wasn't quite perhaps as immediate an impact as I would have liked to have seen for me to hold my hands up and go, definitely not a penalty, definitely not an 8-point try.
Well,
but at the time I kind of thought,
It's comparable to the Liam Farrell one last year against Warrington, isn't it? At the DW, and I think Farrell's was maybe marginally later than this. But the difference between that one and this one, which I think still means this one was marginally the right call, was he also clouted him round the head.
That's true. Yeah.
And no one's really talking about him clouting around the head.
He gave him a little clip round the head, didn't he?
Yeah. And yeah,
was that not like just congratulatory there? Was that like, well done, young man?
I do think the reaction had an influence on things because the player clearly exaggerated the damage the contact was done. I don't like to see that sort of thing happening. But I've got no major problems with it as long as it's happening every time someone's doing that, because you're actually watching the NRL. Players jumping over players in goal because they were giving away 8-point tries, or wanting to avoid giving away 8-point tries. Yeah. So obviously players there have got the awareness to, when they're starting to go in, try and move yourself away or not use the knees. And it's the fact that he slid with his knees first and his hand hit his head. Yeah. He put himself in an opportunity to hurt the player. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not got a major drama about it.
No, like I say, either way, it looked a touch harsh to me.
To me, the more controversial one was the shoulder one. Who was it? It was, I can't even remember the incident that well, but it was on a kick.
Right.
And
someone cleaned out the half-back.
Was it Zeb Taia who came across on Mark Sneed?
I think you might be right, yeah. Someone fair cleaned him out, didn't they? Was it quite early in the game?
Yeah. And I sort of think that maybe was it Seeker Manu on PFR? I can't remember which way around it was. I can't even remember which side it was. Was it Manu on Farge or was it? It was definitely on our side's attacking left edge.
Yes.
In the first half, he was attacking.
It was Saints left to right in the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
it was I think it was Manu on Farge, or it was Manu on someone. It was.
Manu on
Farge who got cleaned out early days, and it was. I know it was very late, but it was very powerful.
We haven't because it wasn't as discussed the incident. I'm not saying it was a shoulder charge.
No,
because I think the player was sort of just trying to step across him and not shoulder charge him. But there was no attempt to tackle, and the shoulder made contact with the player's head. To me, that's a sin binning.
Yeah.
Personally, that's how I would see it. And then Turgot's elbow was nasty. I mean, I know there was some wind up to it that Walmsley had his hand on his head before it, and that's you see that's part and parcel sometimes of being in the front row.
Turgot needs to learn the dark arts a bit better and not get drawn into making those overt ones.
Yeah, because that could seriously damage a player if he'd caught him with a sharp end of his elbow on his eye or something. It's not pleasant stuff.
Exactly. And Alex Walmsley is big and bad enough to know that this is a young forward who he can probably go with a bit of a.
Well, he's not smart enough to calm himself down, is he? Though, because after that is his reaction for retribution. As I think John Wells pointed out, is his game breaking, isn't he?
Well, yeah. No. Okay. Well,
some Hull feedback.
Give you that. Yes.
Get us back on a friendly footing.
And what a friendly Hull fan we've got to talk about here as well. It's Scoots Mackenzie. She's a scrappy game with a few pieces of good play. Bentham relied heavily on the touch judges for calls he should be making himself. Another good showing from Tumavarvi, Kelly, Manu and Sneyd. Still waiting for Griffin to start playing.
Maybe Griffin out for Connor in.
Oh.
Well, what's his face went off? Tools went off injured as well, didn't he, in the game? And Griffin ended up on the wing.
That's right, yeah.
Which pissed me off because I think I put him in one of my dream teams in the wing.
Tim Harvey's still a great player having a dream team.
Paul Ludo Lewis said, Friday night I uttered 5 words that no rugby league fan should ever have to say. I agree with Phil Clark. That 8-point try should never have been given and was only because of the whole players rushing in. Having said that, Saints were awful. Wilkin is 7 years past being past his prime, 7 years past being past his prime, and yet Cunningham is still playing him in the halves and wondering why people are doubting his judgment. Having said that, it's hilarious.
Okay, Dan Laney got in touch. He's at 1984 Beast on Twitter. He said some errors on behalf of both teams, but an exciting encounter. Albert Kelly's a great signing, and Scott Naylor also impressive. Never felt like FC would lose, even when we went behind. Some discipline problems from both teams, but FC look to be gelling well now. Meanwhile, Saints seem a fractured team, but with a very good fullback. I predict a top 3 finish for Hull FC. Lots of strength in youth squad now coming through. BP Loftus, Mark.
Yeah, Brendan Loftus says, not the best performance from either side, but as an FC fan, pleased with the win, and for Wilkin playing at halfback. Too many penalties from both sides, although you couldn't say Bentham was being too picky. Hope Radders tunes in Turgut after his stupid and dangerous elbow to the face of Alex Walmsley. When we move the ball at speed among the backs, we look dangerous and good to watch. Just need more of it. Albert looking good.
Yeah.
They do love him, don't they?
They do love him. I do like Albert Kelly in that side because he's a good foil to the more workmanlike game management style of Snead. And you've got someone who's that explosive runner. And like you alluded to, if he's weighing in more defensively, that kind of shores up that extra baggage that the forwards around him would have to have held in the defensive line. I don't think it was the greatest game of rugby league I've ever seen in my life. The first half particularly was pretty drab, but it got exciting in the second half, not through particularly dynamic play, but just in terms of the way that the scoring went back and forth. I'd like to draw a comparison between Kieran Cunningham or not comparison, but put Kieran Cunningham side by side with Sean Wayne for a second, if I may, Mark.
Okay.
Because everything that you said about how positive Sean Wayne is about bringing in the kids and having a positive approach to adversity, I see the absolute opposite from Kieran Cunningham when he's interviewed and when he's prepping for games. It's almost like he says, I'm not going to make any excuses, and now here are 7 excuses. And then he reels off, this plays out, that plays out, we've missed that, the referee had a poor call against us, we were given a penalty try, X, Y, and Z. And that's pre-match, that's before he's even going in.
Borderline fine for his comments about Phil Bentham, I would say.
Yeah, it was risky business. Yeah. I think Kieran Cunningham, as much as I admire what he achieved as a player for St Helens, is out of his depth in terms of the expectation that exists around him, just in the environs of that club, and in terms of what he's capable of delivering. And I think probably his name will buy him the rest of this season, where with other coaches delivering similar results, if Nathan Brown was delivering these results, he'd have been gone by now. Do you see what I mean? I think he's going to keep himself in a job because his name is Kieran Cunningham, but I am I'm becoming less impressed by the way he's coaching what should be a very capable top 4 side.
But without Matty Smith or without Johnny Lomax, you know.
And they have a comparable youth system to that exists not far down the road.
Well, they won, didn't they? Was it last year or the year before? They've been high performers in the academy.
And it is a high performing academy, so there shouldn't be that level of distrust, I should say. Or, you know, they should be comparable in terms of their performances when they bring these youngsters in. So it comes down to coaching from my point of view. What did you make of the game?
I didn't enjoy watching it that much. I found it hard to engage with the game. I found myself drifting away from it quite frequently, but still watching it, but not realising. I would think. I'm surprised no one's pointed out like how remarkable the first 2 tries were in this game. How ridiculous the first 2 tries were in this game. So the first one was the offload back off Scott Taylor. Then he kicked it.
That's right, yeah.
And then Albert Kelly finished it off. Mm-hmm. And the second one was the Saints one, where really good play from Farge, the kick back inside. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very clever stuff from the young French halfback, who I do like a lot. He popped up on the side that he doesn't normally pop up on as well to do it, which obviously confused the whole FC defence. But then the ball sort of bounced between a few players, and Tuivasa basically just kicked it to Peru, who managed to bundle over. It was both of those tries were really fun to watch in an otherwise terrible to watch first half. Mark Percival was the only shining light for Saints, and I did think when he put that breakthrough at the end that he was going to get something happening again, but it all came to Wilkins' completely embarrassing kick. But
just a damp squib of an end to a set, wasn't it?
But for Hull, the try that was created through Sneyd wrapping around onto the blind side, was that the Tuivasa try that won it? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was, well, in effect won it, the 8th try. That was brilliant play, and I would like to see more of that from Hull FC, because then they can be entertaining again, because so far this year when I've seen them, they haven't shown a lot of entertainment.
I'm with you on that. But congratulations, Hull.
I think they deserved it, but like you say, 10
exactly.
points. 10 points is a stretch. 2 or 4 points, maybe, but
the Kelly squad handed it out, didn't
Hild and Ice got Taylor that break.
there you go, exactly.
Absolutely crunched Tommy Lee.
Thomas Lee, Tommy Lee now, isn't it? Yeah, they were talking about it on commentary.
Yeah,
that's how you know when the fare on the field isn't tremendous. When little statistical tidbits fall out the window.
10-year-old Tommy Lee.
10 years ago, we were supposed to call him Thomas. This is like when Andy Cole became Andrew, because oh god, no one cares. But statistics, what stood out for his mark?
The winning side had 2 fewer breaks, 131 fewer metres, and a 0.9 metres per carry lower average gain. However, 2.2% better team tackle success, 5 fewer penalties conceded, 7-12 on that count, and 7 fewer errors made, 7-14 on that count, all helped to a net positive plays position for Hull FC, indicating they were deserved winners. In terms of the game overall, it had the most attacking kicks so far this year, were...
I don't know what you type in normally at home, but in the interests of...
it was the 8th highest in SLP all time anyway, with 32 in the game.
And
we're counted, I think I meant to write.
We're counted. Excellent. Odd that it didn't bring it up on spell check for you. Every credit. Right, individually, who stood out for us then?
Or at work this afternoon when I printed it off.
Yeah, there you go.
Individually, Mahe Fanu with 124 metres, Scott Taylor with a try assist 138 metres, Mate with 45 tackles, Carlos Tuivasa with his try and 7 tackle busts, and Albert Kelly's 2 tries were headline names there.
And for the Dragons, I just saw Zeb Taia and went for the Dragons. For Saints,
despite us not going with negative stats, so his 5 errors don't make the count, but Zeb Taia actually did do some positive stuff, and I was impressed by his resilience at least after how badly he played for most of the game. But he did have a try assist and 103 running metres in the game. James Roby with 45 tackles, Alex Walmsley with a rampage in 145 metres and saved the best for last. Mark Percival with a try, 7 tackle busts, 165 metres and 3 clean breaks.
Yeah, never mind Zeb, his name should be Spare, in that you only use him in an emergency. Do you like that? I came up with that off the top of my head. There you go. Meanwhile, on Friday, Spare Taia.
See, I told you were funny.
Oh, I never doubted it once. I got a bit of a pre-match prep talk from Mark about me holding it back.
Holding back the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I always knew I was funny. Okay, at the same time on Friday night then, Leeds Rhinos were giving a bit of a shoe-in to the Catalan Dragons. I'd picked this one as a slender Leeds win, but it was 46 points to 10 in favour of the Rhinos, and a good result for under-pressure Brian McDermott in front of 13,208 of the Rhinos' finest fans.
Yeah, and we start with Catalan fan Alan Walker. He says, listen to it, should have beaten those dirty cunts. Counts.
Dirty counts.
Every match so far has been the same, except... He actually has spelled it CONT.
Yeah.
Yes. Every match so far has been the same, except Widnes, because everybody was so covered in mud it was impossible to cheat or BC. The sooner Tony G gets out of Alcatraz, the better. Someone should invite Child up to Torremila. He's a bent...
What's Torremila? Is that where Al lives?
It must be the area he lives or something, yeah.
Right.
He's benter than Bentham.
Oh dear.
If not, there's a gaff by the bus depot in Barcelona. It might be where the slaughterhouse is then, but if not, there's a gaff by the bus depot in Barcelona. No one will hear a thing. #slaughterhouse visit. #still better than Saint.
Every time Alan sends us one of his rage-filled Catalonian tweets, I think, how much fun would it be to go out on the lash with this boy? I'm seriously thinking, like, expat gangster who's escaped to southern Spain and now quietly lives a life.
Northwest.
It's not on the south coast? Oh no, Barcelona's.
Yeah, east coast.
It's sort of come. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but anyway.